Nix has not yet been named the Broncos' official starting quarterback for Week 1 of the regular season, but all signs are pointing to that, including how the Broncos are conducting practice today, tomorrow, Friday with the joint practice with the Packers, and then this coming game. Bo Nix was running with the first team today, Sean Payton told us after practice, and he's pretty much going to be doing that the rest of this week, and it sounds like he's going to be doing that on Friday when the Packers come to town for joint practice, and then we know he's going to be the starter for Sunday's game against the Packers in the preseason. So it really seems like all signs are pointing to Bo Nix. However, Sean Payton did say that this is how they did practice last week with Jarrett Stidham running with the ones for the majority of practices leading up to his start in the preseason. But I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think that we saw a lot of Bo Nix running with the ones last week as well. So unsurprisingly, after a great preseason game, Bo Nix appears to be the Broncos' starting quarterback. It's just not official yet.
His decision-making was good. I felt he was comfortable in the pocket. Thought his locations were good. The number one thing to do with quarterback is lead your team. And, we scored. There's two plays where I think he can set his feet and he's kind of backing up a little. We can clean that up. But I like the production with his group while he was in there, and ultimately that's their job. The whole group as a whole, and when I'm talking about the three of them, we didn't have any sacks. There were a lot of positives.
But just because the starting quarterback position is nearly settled doesn't mean the backup position is settled. In fact, it seems like it's up for grabs. Credit to Zach Wilson for really pushing Jarrett Stidham for this backup job, and Sean Payton seems really impressed with him. In fact, Zach Wilson had a pretty good practice today, but his receivers continued to let him down. He had a deep ball about 45 yards down the field during 7-on-7s that went right through Troy Franklin's hands. Would have been a touchdown if he caught it. In team period, he throws the ball maybe just slightly out in front of David Sills, but it still hits both of his hands, pops up into the air, defense catches it, interception. Overall, though, Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, and Bo Nix had pretty good days. There's just one thing that I can't get past with Zach Wilson being the backup as of right now, and that's the way Sean Payton is handling these end of practice situations. So the Broncos have done this a couple of times, and the situation today was just over a minute left. The ball's on the defense's 41-yard line, and they have to go and at least get a field goal before the end of the game. No timeouts this time. Sean Payton said after practice, it's about a 50-50 situation in terms of the offense wins if the defense wins. So how it goes, Bo Nix gets the ball down to the 25-yard line. They kick a field goal, 43-yarder to tie the game. That's a success for Bo. Now Jarrett Stidham's up. He goes down to the 5-yard line, but is unable to get a touchdown, so they kick a field goal. Would have gone into overtime. Zach Wilson didn't get a turn. And this has happened a couple of times where both Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham get turns, but Zach Wilson doesn't. If he starts getting these turns, then he's really making that push to be the Broncos' backup. But regardless, Sean Payton is thrilled with Zach Wilson's development.
His reps in the game were really good. I mean, number one, there's a poise because he's been there. And then I felt like he was real comfortable. Again, we were in and out of the huddle. There was no clock issue. I mean, all of that was smooth, but then his decision-making, and he's aggressive. I like that he's going to take shots. He's got a good live arm. I thought he had a real good game, and I'm encouraged.
And the best training camp practice of all of camp is coming this Friday when the Packers come to town for the one and only joint practice, Broncos versus Packers. The Packers are going to be playing their starters in that, but they're not going to be playing them in the game. So this Friday is even more important for the Packers. The Broncos will be playing their starters in the game and also against the Packers in joint practice on Friday. That means Bo Nix gets to see another defense. We get to see how Bo does against the Packers defense. And Sean Payton and Matt LaFleur, they have figured everything out about this joint practice, including what sidelines each team is standing on depending on what drill's going on.
There's just some nuances within the periods. And then logistically, things like, hey, where's their sideline? And we put them, the team that comes in, we put them in the middle, the neutral ground, as they would say in the South. They're in the middle, and then we would take this far sideline if it's a drill on this period, and we'd take the other far sideline. Just organizational things, and he's got a field map in front of him. He's looking at our facility, and And so all of those things, so it would be the periods in practice of what we're doing, how we're rotating, and then the logistics in doing it.